Welcome back to the workbench, and we've got a brand new project we're about to start, which I think is going to be this Ayrton Senna kart model. It's him in his karting days, or actually, I think it's him in his adult days going back to karting. It's 1993, so that obviously he died in 94. So, you know, this is kind of into life karting fun, I guess, that he did. Definitely my favorite F1 driver, I would say. Of all time. It really affected me. 1994 was my senior year in high school. Really affected me when he died. I've literally hated Williams ever since. I really believe it was their car that broke, that killed him, and there at Imola. And I don't know. It's always. I think because of that, because I was at that perfect age of becoming a racing fan. And all that going, having probably the greatest F1 driver of all time, and then him dying right at that age of 18. I don't know. Anyways, he's always just been very endearing to me. And I picked up this model a long time ago, wanting to build it. Now, as we build these models, I'm afraid we're gonna have to do a lot of painting. We're just gonna have some drying time. So I thought what we could also do is mix in some other models. And I've got a special one here. Let me reach. It's down here. Whoops. Sorry, I think I just bumped you guys, but hold on just a second. Let me grab it. So years ago, I started working on this 2001. It's a Schumacher car. So I had started working on this. I did one episode or one video on building this model. I've had people through the years ask, hey, where's part two? And when I say years ago, I mean like 5 years ago. I think I started on this. I had somebody ask just yesterday, day before, through the comments, hey, do you have a part two on this? And I'm like, no, I sure don't. So I thought this is something we could work on while at the same time we're doing this. And this is going to be our main build for now. But I might, if things are having to dry, we got glue, dry time for glue and paint. Maybe we can get back to finishing this finally. Now, I also have two more that I want to show that I have sitting here, and I'm bringing all these up because race season is starting. I'm a huge race car fan, or just racing fan. I love everything from Formula One, which is so popular now. Everybody's kind of on the bandwagon. I've kind of pulled off because I've been a Formula One fan since, gosh, the 80s. So but now everybody's on the bandwagon. Oh, F1 is such the greatest thing, which it is. It's great. IndyCar is my absolute favorite series ever since I was a child. IndyCar is the best racing on earth. It really is. I'm a NASCAR fan. I'm a sports car fan. But the point being is, this weekend, tomorrow, as I'm recording, this is Friday. Tomorrow, the Rolex 24 starts, which is the start of my kind of racing season. It's kind of the first race that I watch. I'll usually watch the Roar the weekend before, but then the first real race is the Rolex. So that starts tomorrow. So I thought, let's get the race cars going. It's got really got me excited. So I've got some other ones here. I've got an old Dell Earnhardt that I picked up. Now I picked this one up used. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit so you can see better. There we go. Yeah, so I've got, let me zoom back in. I'm a little too far. Pick this one up used. I hope all the parts are there to it. We'll find out. But then I do have a NASCAR, let's see, this guy down here. If I can reach it. Oh gosh, it's way down here. Here we go. I've got this one that is, it's an old monogram model that's still sealed. So maybe we can work on this one too. Now, the only thing I worry about these old models is a lot of times these water slide decals they're junk. They're no good. But that's something maybe we can try to deal with if that's the case. We can deal with that. But for now, the main thing I want to do, I've had this Senna model for a few years now. So I'd really like to get started on it. So I've already wasted 5 minutes of your time. Let's go ahead. Let's get started. I'm literally just now opening it up. There's not a lot to it doesn't seem. We've got what are these? That's probably an axle, I guess. We've got a copper rod. We've got just a few sprues and some decals. There's not a lot to it. So I'm gonna set the box over here to the side. We'll go ahead and open up. I think we'll go ahead and open up all the sprues. Oh, here we go. Do it the easy way. Just pull the staple. And it looks like it's all molded in white, except interestingly, the Senna character, the actual figure, is in clear plastic. I'm not sure why it's clear. I'm not sure why it's clear plastic, but that one's actually is molded in clear plastic. And then we have everything else molded in white plastic. It all looks pretty good. I tell you what, let me go ahead. I'm going to set the decals and this little copper rod, whatever it is, to the side for now. Go ahead and pull the instructions. Now, I'm going to have to, a little caveat here. We've got quite a few different colors. I've got a ton of paint back there, back that way. I have a whole rack of paint. Most of it is airbrush paints. I am currently not set up to do any airbrushing because my booth is out in the garage. I am converting the garage. Oh, that's why this is so haphazard right now. The garage is I'm building out the garage as a conditioned area. All of this, all my hobby stuff is going to move out to the garage once it's actually conditioned. Basically, it's sealed up, has an air conditioner. It's almost done, actually. Just lacking a little bit of funding, just waiting to save a little bit of money to actually put in the rest of what's needed. And I've got a black mark on my face. Earlier, I was working on the Gundam build and doing some black washes, and I think I got it on me somehow. Anyways, so I have some paints. I don't know if I'm going to have all the paints we're going to need. We're going to just do what we can, I think. If I need to wait and get some paints, I can run and do that. But we'll do what we can. So let's just go ahead and flip over here to instruction number 1. And I think the first thing they have us doing, these are the fuel tanks. Yeah, we need to put together the fuel tank, which is going to be 11 H11 flat white. And I have some spray paint. It's an heirloom white. It's a little bit of a yellow white, which I think would be okay for a fuel tank. I think the cart itself is going to be white, and I want that to be pure white, which I'll have to pick up some paint for. Now, here's the thing. I have spray paint. I'm home alone right now. The wife's at work. My daughter's at school. This stuff smells, but we might just have to do this. So I think what we're going to do, let's go ahead and put the fuel tank together, which is, what do we have, B7 and B6. Here they are right here. And I still haven't got my new nippers. I have learned that they are called nippers. God hand nippers. I've been trying to think of that. That's the ones that all the little nippers / snippers that all the Gundam guys use. They're supposed to be the best. They're called God hand. They're $60 on Amazon. I'm gonna have to bite the bullet at some point. But gosh, $60 is kind of. I'm cheap. That's a lot. That's a lot. Anyways, but I'm gonna have to do it. I do want trying to make these builds, what we're doing here on the workbench, as best it can be. I'd like to produce quality builds, and I'd like you to be able to watch me do them. And I just realized that my X-Acto knife is downstairs. So what I'm going to have to do is pause just a second and go grab my X-Acto knife. I'll be right back. All right, and I'm back. And I got my X-Acto knife. I had it downstairs. I think my wife was using it for something. Forgot it was down there. So let's go ahead and get this glued up. What did I do? Where is my glue? I think on these, I'll just use a drop of CA glue, which will do the job right there. And we'll go ahead and start getting this put together, cleaned up. Oh, I probably should have. Usually you want to test fit your stuff before you actually put the glue, but yeah, I'm going to have to clean this up actually. There's a little bit of plastic here on this surface. And same on the other one. Yeah, I kind of got ahead of myself. Always test fit your parts before you actually apply glue. That's kind of model building 101. But sometimes I get going a little too fast because I want to get as much done here in the 45 minutes that we have as we can. So I get ahead of myself, like right now. How does this go together? Why am I having such trouble with this? We got it this way. This goes this way. This goes this way. No. Yeah, no. No. It has to go one way or another, right? Do I have the right parts? Where does those go down like this? These little tabs go down. We're off to a good start. The very first, this is how it has to go. So this is how it's going to go. Can you please? You're making me look like a fool here, Pete. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna hold that if I can. Where's my plastic cement at? Everything is a mess. Like I said, I'm trying to move. Some stuff is already moved outside. I swear, where is my, I don't even see it. I guess we're gonna have to just go what we got here. Some stuff is outside, some stuff is here. It's everywhere. I've been working every day, doing multiple videos a day, so everything's just gotten scattered. And I've got some actual plastic cement that I'm looking for, and I'm seeing nowhere. I'm gonna stand up real quick, sorry. What in the world did I do with it? I guess we are gonna have to move ahead without it. The CA glue will work, but I'd like to hold this a little bit tighter. I had it here. I'm not even kidding. I know it's right here in front of my face, and I am just not seeing it. I know it. Interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna need it too. I tell you what, I think I'm gonna have to pause again. I'm gonna have to find what I did with my cement, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back again. I remember where I put my cement, my extra thin plastic cement. So what I want to do, actually, is this gonna, will this hold it nice and tight? This might hold it too tight. Hopefully this doesn't crush it. Yeah, this clamp will hold it nice and tight. And then what I want to do is just run some of this down the seams like this, which will essentially kind of weld it together, the way the cement works. All right, just like that. We'll let that hold and glue up. Let's see, I'll set it over here. I want to keep it in the screen so you can see it. And then next we've got, what it's going to attach to is this B4. Where is that at? Here we are. Is this, yeah, this looks like the part here. B4. And then this, let's see. I'm actually going to have to move that. B4 is H8. It's silver. And I have the silver, the spray silver that I was just using on the last build we were doing. Maybe I can just try to spray this real quick. I might use the box bottom or top to spray this stuff on. But let me go ahead and clean this up real quick. Make sure it's nice and clean before we start painting anything. I think that's okay. And then this is going to go, this is up. So this is our important side, and then this is down. It has some molding, flashing from the molding. I can try and let me find a, you know what, I'll just use this. So this is just a fingernail file. This is the best, to me, this is the best sanding tool you can get for doing models, just a regular fingernail file. I steal everything from my wife. If you watch this channel for a while, you know I steal a lot of stuff from my wife, including her fingernail files. This actually has a coarse side and a less coarse side. They're both coarse, but one's less coarse. I'm going to use the less coarse side and see if I can just get that flashing kind of sanded off there. See, I mean, it takes care of it in 2 seconds. And same with the two up here. Yep, that's got it. So that's going to be much, much smoother. Also, you know what I might do? This is the bottom. This is basically the skid plate of the cart. I might take the coarse side, which it goes this way. So this is the front. So I'm going to take this coarse side and see if I can't rough this up just a little bit. Because this is what would take the damage as the cart's going. It would, you know, if it's going to hit, if it goes over curbs, that kind of thing. So I'm going to try, and I want to keep the grooves that I'm putting in it this direction, like so. I might just do the whole thing with the coarse grit side. But then really up front, I think I'm going to use the corner of the, what is this? The fingernail file, and put just a few just kind of grooves in it like that. Yeah, I like that. Because I want to have this like he's driving the thing. I mean, obviously the figure's going to be in the car, so he's driving it. It's been used. I like that. I know you probably can't see that, but once it's painted, I think we'll be able to see it. So let me move this stuff out of the way. I think what I'll do, I'm going to use the bottom here. Do I have any? I thought I had some tape and stuff up here. Let me find something. Obviously, if I just put this in here and tried to paint it, it'd blow across the way. Here we go. We got tape here. Got some thin line tape we can use. I think what I'll do, yeah, I'm going to paint the bottom side first. I usually paint the side that I want to be cleaner second, if that makes sense. So I'm going to let this completely dry, but if I'm going to tape a side and stick it, flip it and stick it again, I want the second side, the side that gets taped to be the side that I don't have as much concern about, or that I want to end up dirtier. Let me see if I can just spray it real quick and try to make as least smell as possible. There we go. Woo! This is why I have a spray booth, but like I said, it's out in the garage. Kind of not able to be used in front of a camera, let's put it that way. So we'll set that to the side and let it dry. This Tamiya paint actually dries pretty quick. And the other part we're going to need now is B10, which looks like this chassis is just all one piece, which is kind of nice. Yeah, B10 here. So let me start clipping it off carefully. I don't want to break any of these little bars of the chassis. Is that it right there? Yeah. Should be all of it. Okay. Now we'll go through again. I'm going to try to clean these up real quick. Sometimes it's hard to tell what is meant to be there and what is not. That looks okay. Yeah, I think, yeah, nope, these are not meant to be there. It's supposed to be just round bar. So we'll go and clean this up a little bit. Those pegs obviously are supposed to be there. Clean this up a little bit. I'd like to get this to turn out as best I can with what I've got here on hand. Because I've really looked forward to building this. I'd like to have it kind of in my Senna collection of stuff. I think that's okay. I'm gonna get a little sanding. I got a bucket of little sanding sticks over here to the side. Let me go ahead and grab one and try to clean it up just a little bit better. There's a lot along the edge of these bars. There's kind of flashing from the molding process where the two pieces of the mold come together, and it has just a little bit that squishes out down the middle. So I think I can just knock those off real quick. Like so. It doesn't take much to get it off, quite honestly. And this little bit of effort can go a long ways. When you start painting stuff like this and you've got those, you end up with that flashing on there, it really shows. So if you just take just a moment, just give it a quick rub down. I think that's going to be pretty okay. Okay, like so. And now, it looks like this gets multiple colors, but the main color is 3, which is red. Okay, so the chassis of the cart is red. This is the top side. We got the chassis is red. What is that? The steering link is, it says flat black. So that I'll probably hand brush, and then the spindles, I'm trying to tell, yeah, it looks like the entire, oh, that doesn't, these need popped off of here, don't they? Yeah, I need to cut these off. Here and there. Went flying across the room. Okay, let me clean that up a little bit because the wheels are going to stick on there, so I want to make sure What'd I do with my sanding stick I just had? Well, I grab a different one. Grab a new one. I want to get these nice and smooth there because the wheels are going to have to fit on here, and I think they're meant to be able to turn. So, if, you know, I'd like them to turn if they're supposed to. I think in the back we're going to put that axle in. Okay, good. And then the spindles are going to get painted. What was the number? 8. Silver. Probably like an aluminum or something would be the right color. Okay, but it needs to be painted red. And I have this red. This is a Chrysler color. What is this? Flame. I have flame red. It seems like that would be a good color. This is actually automotive touch-up paint. This is good. I love this stuff, by the way. The Duplicate Perfect Match. If you're painting bodies, and I mean, this is automotive paint. So if you want, and it's not that crazy expensive. I usually find it at AutoZone. I'm sure you can order it online too. Not that crazy expensive, but it is actually, it's meant for chip repair and dent repair and that kind of stuff. But it's really good stuff if you're wanting to paint bodies on model cars or anything really, because it gives a good finish. You can do a base coat, clear coat with this. So they make the same perfect match. They make a clear coat, and you can really get a good clean finish. But I have this. It was out in the garage, and I think I could probably just spray this. Oh, do I need to pull that off too? Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of extra molding. Yeah, I don't need that. Let me snip that off too. But anyways, I think this will work for what we're doing here. You get that off there. Go and sand it down. Does it show removing those? What does that symbol mean? Does it tell us what that symbol means somewhere? I have no idea. It might tell us, but in Japanese. I think this might be telling us what that symbol means. Huh. Yeah, I think that probably means that we're going to be removing those extra little pieces. But good. Anyway, so let me see how we're doing over here. And the way I usually do this, you know, obviously touch out here. It is not dry. I wonder if I can, because I'd like to get the red. Well, I need to do the other side of this too. You know what I can do? I can use the lid top also. So we have 2 spraying surfaces here. Okay, let's see. Where'd my tape go? I kind of want to tape this down again. Here we are. So I think the way I'll do this is get me a loop of tape and put it right across here. And I'll probably put a second loop of tape and put it right across here. And then I want to paint the bottom side first. Try and get it to stick in my 2 loops of tape there. There we go. That should work. Try to shake this away from the microphone. I'm sure these spray can rattle balls are not quiet. All right. Let's see. This is gonna stink. I love this paint though. It is really good stuff. And it smells like automotive paint. It has that kind of sweet odor. Okay, we'll let that side dry. And this actually dries pretty quickly also. All right, so that's got that stuff starting to dry up. You know what we can do? We'll just stick with this guy here and we'll just move on to oh my God, sorry. I probably should be wearing a mask. If you're spray painting indoors, please wear a mask. I just took a big breath in and it killed me. All right. This is not normally how I do things, by the way, guys. I do have a spray booth. I promise you I do. It's out, like I said, it's outside. Anyways, let's move on to step 2. And we'll go ahead and find let's get these 3 parts, A7, A11, and A16. Which one of these is A's? These are A's. What did I say? A7. Where are you at, A7? This little guy here. You know what? I probably should paint these on the sprue. These are very small. What are these? They're all H8. which are silver. Do I have, let me see what I've got. Like I said, all my paints are back over there. So let me see, what do I have a silver? I should. This gray. Hold on, I'm gonna have to stand up and take a look here. Gunmetal. Here's just silver. I wonder if gunmetal might be a good color. Don't have a lot of it. Gray, dark gray. Oh, what is this? Is this silver? This bottle has been destroyed. Let me see if I can. I have a feeling I had this sitting to the side because this has the look of a bottle that's had a pair of channel locks on it because it is. I couldn't get it open. So before I go too far, yeah, I think that is exactly right. I think what I might do. I think I might use that gunmetal. Might use the gunmetal. I'll bring this over. Now the problem I'm going to have is this is actually Vallejo Game Air. It's meant for airbrushes. My airbrush, everything is outside, so I'll have to try to brush this on. So it might take a few coats to actually get it brushed on. But let's see how it works out. Yeah, I think that's gonna be a good color for these kind of parts. And I like to have multiple. I usually like to use multiple silvers. Like, yeah, I don't want everything to be the same color silver. It gives some. It looks a little bit more real. It gives a little more realism if you have some varying colors in your silvers, in your metal colors. But anyways, let me go. I need to do A7, which is this one here. Let's see how well this coat covers. Oh, it's going to be fine. I think because these parts are white, it's going to be good. We're going to be all right. So let's go ahead and get A7 just nice and painted up. Like so. And then we'll have, when we snip these, we'll have to touch them up. The next one was A11, which is this part here. And it shows it as all, quote unquote silver. We're doing it gunmetal. So let's go ahead and get it painted up. And that'll get all this kind of drying for us. Hopefully maybe we can put something together today before we leave. If not, we'll have plenty to put together next time or tomorrow. But let's get as much done as we can while we're here. And I don't really care how smooth this is. A lot of times if it's a little bumpy, gummy, whatever, it just gives it kind of a greasy look. Because these parts in real life, that's what happens. They get dirty, grimy, they're underneath. They get rubber buildup from tires, from the marbles on the tracks and that kind of thing. What is the other one? A16. Now, A16 is the drive shaft. Or not the drive shaft, I'm sorry, the steering column. At least that's what it looks like it's going to be. I wonder if I do... I guess gunmetal's fine for it too. Where's A16? Here it is. Let me go ahead and snip. There's a little extra piece on A16 right here. I'm going to go ahead and snip that off. And then clean it up. Oh, here it is. I thought I lost another sanding stick. I'm going to clean this up before I give it a paint. Probably shouldn't do the sandings over top of my paint. I really will grime it up. I think that's good. We'll go ahead and do it this gunmetal also. And I like to, when it's little pieces like this, which I just stuck my finger in that one like an idiot. When it's these little pieces, I like to paint them on the sprue, or at least do the first paint on the sprue. Again, when we clip them off, we're going to have to do a little touch up. But at least you have the sprue itself to hold on to while you're painting. If I was trying to paint this, it becomes a mess. If you're trying to hold a little piece, you can hold it with some little pliers or with some tweezers, but it's still, you can't get the whole thing coated. So I just like to just do it right there on the sprue, and then you kind of set the sprue. If I set it, I've got some, I think these are the wheels, but they stick out, so I can set it like this on those wheels, and that's going to hold all that up off the whatever, the table. There you go. And not smudge the paint. Let me move this out of the way. You know what? I forgot to grab a cup of water. That's okay. In fact, if you give me 2 seconds, if I walk straight back this way, well, you know what? I'll do it afterwards. I'll clean it up afterwards. I don't want to take the time. But straight back that way is a sink, a bathroom. So that's got that done. Let me see if our silver dried up, because then we can flip this over and paint. Oh yeah. So that's nice and dry. So now we can flip it. And I'll go ahead and paint the other side. I want to make sure all the edges get nice and painted. Okay. And then I'll set that again to the side. And then let's check our red. It's just, can you hear that? Just a hair tacky. So I don't want to mess with that just yet. Okay, so what I think we do while we're waiting on, oh, you know what? We need to check we never did check our, we need to work on our little gas tank here, which is pretty rough. So what I want to do is go ahead and smooth all the seams out here, which are now dry. In fact, where's my, let's go a little heavier. Now I have a feeling the real gas tanks like this actually have a seam down them, because that's how they would be formed also. But I don't want it to be too pronounced. And this is going, what color is this? This is 11, which is flat white. Oh, that's right. We were thinking about doing it in that, with that white I have over there. Okay. But we're gonna have to definitely get this cleaned up first. It's real. I don't know how well you guys can see, but where it's glued together, you know, half of it user fault, half of it manufacturing fault. It's got a pretty good seam there to it, or rough seam. And again, I don't mind there being a seam, because again, I'm sure there's one in the real thing. In the real, you know, there's a seam there in the real tank, because these are just plastic also. Formed plastic like this. That's coming pretty smooth. Not sure what's going to go in that hole there. I guess maybe a cap or something. I'm going to try to get this sanded down cleaner. It's pretty dirty. Use this little guy. Sometimes you just gotta have to go to the X-Acto. There we go. But it's always good to just take the time to do this. And what's nice about being able to hold it tight and use some actual plastic cement is, even if there's little gaps in there, that cement, it really does just kind of melt the plastic together, and as long as the gaps aren't too big, it'll close up those gaps for you. I'm going to go right back over these again with this finer sanding stick here, or sanding block, whatever you want to call it, just to smooth it out. This gives it a, yeah, you can definitely see the sanding marks from the fingernail file. But I can just go back with this guy and just try to smooth that up a little bit. And I know some of you might be thinking, well, it's a lot of work just for a little gas tank. But I'm telling you, just put this little extra effort into your builds. I know as a kid, I would just slap them together, and then it would be all put together, and I'd look at it, and then I'd go to a modeling show, or I'd back then you could grab a magazine. Like, man, mine just don't even look close to as good as these ones in the magazine. Well, I didn't take any time. I didn't understand the fact that, well, if you take the time to, actually smooth out the rough spots and take your time with the painting. Everything I made had fingerprints in it, because I wouldn't wait for dry times. And my fingers always basically would look like this. You can see I always had, so there was always different colored fingerprints in my body work and whatnot. All right, I think that's actually going to be pretty good. I don't have anywhere to put this to paint it, because again, I think I'm going to spray it with the white over there, the spray can. To be honest with you, I try to spray or airbrush. Usually I would just airbrush this. So I try to spray or airbrush pretty much everything. Again, when I was a kid, I brushed everything, and I remember just spending hours trying to get brush marks out of stuff, and it's just not worth it. So it's definitely worth getting an airbrush and just airbrushing. That's why all my paint's back here. Y'all can't see them, but there's probably, God, there's 100 paints back here. And it's all airbrush paint, you know. I say all of it. 90% of it's airbrush paint. Paint made, you know, formulated for or thinned out for airbrushes. But I think that's going to look pretty good there. And they show it just being all white. I wonder if this would have had, like, it's got a cap on it. I wonder if that would probably be black. I don't even know. But we'll need to paint that. Is there something, what do I have? Let me find something that I can, you know what? I have the Brig of War. By the way, I have an edited video coming that's of this build, the Brig of War build. I think I'm going to use this to now spray the gas tank. Yeah, I have an edited video. It's pretty much edited. Coming for the build on this, which I think it'll be a lot of fun. I need to cut it down. It's a little too long right now. My edited videos I want to keep somewhere in the 15-minute range, and I think right now it's literally like 30 minutes. So I've got to cut out I just got to cut it down. But I did a bunch of voiceover for it and whatnot, and that's all done. The build is done. Maybe I can post it. I might post a photo of it in the community section here. But let me go ahead and try to spray this. Let's see what color it is first. That looks kind of fuel tanky to me. Boy, this is some thick paint. I need to be real careful. Whew. This is 2 times ultra cover. I believe that. Man, this comes out thick. So if you're using this stuff, it's paint and primer, I guess, all in one. But it did say plastic on it, so that's why I don't mind using it. I guess it's really meant for plastic furniture, stuff like that, or wood, metal, and plastic furniture. But it's 2x ultra cover, and it comes out thick and heavy. So be real careful if you decide to use this, because it does want to it does want to run on you. Okay. I'm going to let that be. I have no idea how long this stuff takes to dry. This Rust-Oleum, which usually dries pretty quick, so I'm going to assume that's the case. And then now we've got this guy. Yep, this feels nice and dry. So let's go ahead and do the second side. We'll have to just toss that tape and then get us some new tape here. We'll go ahead and spray the second side of this. And then we're going to be starting to run out of time. But let's go ahead and get this sprayed up, and then we'll see what else we can get done real quick before time runs out. Tape it there, tape it there. I think that's going to be all right. Where's our red? All right, let's see. And I want to make sure and get the sides of this also, not just straight on. So I usually come from an angle like this, I will spray this way, but from an angle this way, and try not to spray half the room either. Try to keep it within this box. Did I just... I just sprayed the same side twice, didn't I? Okay. That's how I know it's been a long day and I've been talking too much. But the reason why I did it is because I was saying I needed to spray the sides because they weren't sprayed very well. And so that's what I was trying to spray, but I should have flipped it over and got the sides at that time. So we're going to have to let this dry now, but it's okay. It just got a little better paint job on it. Let me set that back over there. Let me see what else we can try to get done while we're sitting here. I think we have just a few more minutes. Oh, boy. You know what? Here's something kind of cool. What is this? Is this the steering wheel? Yeah, it looks like it. What is that? C4? Where is that? No, that's not the steering wheel. What is that? I don't know. Huh, I don't know. Where is C4? Where is here it is right here. Not sure what this is. Does it say what it is? No. Go and clip it loose though. We'll go in. Oh, you know what? What color is this supposed to be? H. So it's all kinds of colors. I might paint it on the sprue too. So we have the H8 12-3. 3 is red. Okay, so this is going to be actually part of the chassis. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be the red. So you know what I need to do? I need to spray that because I want it to be the same color red. So I need to spray this first. Okay, so I'm glad we looked at this. So, but it's going to be red, and then we have 12 and 8. 12 is black and 8 is silver, so it's going to be black, and probably our gunmetal we'll use for that. But I need to spray that, but I don't want to spray it on the sprue because this actually is white pieces. So let me go ahead and clip it. Sorry, I know I'm talking. I'm kind of thinking out loud here. I always try to think about what the best way to do these are. This is going to be to actually clip it off. Basically, all like this, these side pods and whatnot are going to be white. Otherwise, if this was all red, I'd just spray it on the sprue. But these are going to be white. I mean, this is the head of this is the motor, the head of the engine. These are going to be black, right? So anyways, let's go ahead and get it off the sprue. We'll get it cleaned up and definitely have it ready to paint, at least at minimum. And let's see. Let's go ahead and get this cleaned up. In fact, I'm going to finish cleaning this up, and I think we're pretty well out of time. I was just looking at the clock. So I've got what we need painted, and let's go ahead and start on step 1. Hopefully we can make it through about step 4, I hope today. But anyways, we did put together our little fuel tank. I went ahead and painted it up. We used just some Rust-Oleum paint to paint it with. I did put a little black cap on there. It doesn't call for that, but I figured the cap on the fuel tank would probably be black. I don't know. I went ahead and made it black. We got our skid plate here. Now, what I want to do with this, we kind of roughed it up, and hopefully you guys can kind of see that. By the way, I've added a light right here aiming down, another light. Hopefully you can see a little better, I hope. Hopefully it's not just washing everything out. But we added some, this is the skid plate that's going to go underneath the chassis, which also, as you can see, I went ahead and painted. So we had painted it red. I went ahead and put in the little connecting link here, the drive link here, or the steering link here, and the spindles. We painted them up. So this is actually going to go on the bottom here, and it's a skid plate, which is going to take all the brunt of any curbs or anything like that that would be driven up on. So I wanted to give it a bit of a kind of a marked up look, or a worn in look, where it's been up on some curbs. This cart's been through a few races, and you can see we kind of marked it up and then painted it silver. But I thought we would do. I want to get it a little more. It's not as it doesn't show as well as I was hoping. So what I think I'm going to do is take this fingernail file, or just a sanding block. I'm going to give it a little bit more marks. So like those are good. I like that. Give it some marks. Now the problem is this plastic is all white. So when I mark it, now we have some white marks there. But what I thought we would do is just use some black wash. I think I'm just going to give this whole thing a black wash, and then see if we can get some of those marks to stand out. Let me use this to put the black on. Let's see if this works. I really don't even know if it's necessarily going to work very well for us, but I really want to make, I really want to make this look worn. Let's see. I'm just going to kind of wash the whole thing. This is kind of my plan, especially up front here. Just kind of wash it all like this. Especially covering up those white marks we just made, those gouges we just made, which exposed some of the white plastic. And then just give it a wipe. You know what really needs, I think that already, hopefully you guys can see, I think that already looks kind of all right. But what really needs, the front of this really needs some kind of black in it. Like this. Because that's what's really going to take the brunt, that front edge. I'm just going to blot this a little bit. And I'm always trying to work everything this way, front to back. This would be the front of the cart. front to back, because anything it's going to hit, for the most part, is going to be in that direction. I'm just going to keep laying that in, just kind of like that. I think that's going to be okay. Let me add just a little bit right here. Got a little bit of that white showing. I'll just hit some black wash on it. And then you can kind of see now how that's going to look, hopefully. Hopefully you guys can, is that focusing? Yeah, it gives it a little bit of a worn look. Now I think, let me go ahead and clean my brush up. We'll let that dry a little bit. I think we'll end up probably doing the same thing a little bit to the frame. So let me move this stuff out of the way. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So obviously this sits down here. Now the brunt of everything is going to take, any hits underneath the cart is going to be taken mainly by this skid plate. That's the whole point of the skid plate. But you are going to get some, especially like these cross members here, like you're going to get some hits across that. So I think we're going to put a little bit more of this together, and then we'll probably weather in, or wear in, I should say, I guess, a little bit of the bottom of the frame also. Otherwise, because we don't want this pristine frame and then this weathered in or worn in skid plate, it kind of looks out of place. But just so you know. Okay. Now we need to, the next thing we need to do, and I'm wondering, because this goes, let me take a look here. This goes here. I wish I knew where the pedals sat. Let's see if we can figure out, because I'm thinking this is also where your feet would be on either side here. This is where your feet would rest for the, the gas pedal and the brake pedal. Let me kind of look ahead. Yeah, they go here. Which one? This goes here. I'm just going to try to see where those pedals sit. I think that's exactly right. I think your feet would sit here. So what we need to also do, I'd like to just add, just kind of dirty this up a little bit. I think we could probably do the same thing. I still have my black wash here. We could probably just add in some where the feet sit. Like so. And then sometimes if you just kind of blot it like this with your rag, it'll give you just kind of a grimy look. Can you see that? Just a very simple technique. You know what I also have that would probably help? Let me clean this rag up. I think I have some at least somewhere. I should have some brown wash. Because, you'd probably have, I would think the bottoms of your feet would get a little, or your shoes would get a little dirty. Let's see, what color is this here? This would work. Yeah, let's try some of this. What are the color they calling this? They're calling it flesh. It's a flesh wash, but it's kind of, a brown. I think this will work. Just to give a look. Can y'all see what I'm doing here? Okay, yeah, I'm putting it in the tray here. Just to give a little dirty look to it also. Like he's, this car's being driven. Or this cart, I should say. So, and then in the same method, yeah, this is actually very light. This can work well, I think. Just to give a little bit of dirt in there. And then again, take your rag and then just blot like this. Give you that kind of just a, like I said, just a dirty look. Can y'all see that? I think that's gonna be much better where his feet have been resting there. And, you move your feet a lot while you're driving, obviously. And you 2-foot drive, you've right foot gas, left foot brake. So both sides would probably get kind of worn in like that. So we'll let this dry up a little bit. The next thing I need to do, I was cleaning my brush again. The nenext thing we're going to need to do is we're going to have to put this stuff together. And I've been using spray paint to do these. And what happens, just like if you were, if you were powder coating something or spray painting something, the little assembly holes start to fill with paint. So we need to clean those out. One, because just so the pegs can fit in, the little pieces that fit in the holes will fit. But also, you want to have plastic on plastic contact because that's going to glue. You don't want to glue paint to paint. It's just paint. You want the plastic to glue. So what we need to do, first thing I'm going to do is come to this piece again, and I'm just going to. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pegs here for this. I'm going to go ahead and just scrape some of the paint off of each one of these pegs. And you don't have to do all the way around. And you definitely don't want to cut off the peg. You just want to scrape it up in some areas where we're going to get the plastic to plastic, or plastic to plastic contact is probably the best way to say that, so that you get good glue adhesion, like so. And now that's when we're going to go to the frame. I'm going to do the same thing to the two pegs on the bottom of this here. Just try to scrape the paint off of the sides of them. Just like this. And then we can also probably take some paint off the middle and actually use this surface to actually do the gluing. So in between these two holes here, I think I'll take the paint off of that surface here also. And then this is actually probably where we'll glue this up. And then the cap goes to the back, the gas cap. I want to test fit this, make sure it fits pretty well. And it does. It seems to sit nice and flush. So I think we'll go ahead and glue this. And the way I like to do this, where are my toothpicks? Let me hop up here real quick. The way I like to glue these things, I'll just use my paint tray, and then I use some CA glue. And of course I use Starbond CA glue. Quick advertisement. If you want to get some Starbond, it's really good stuff. There's a link in the description where you can get a little discount on some Starbond if you need a good CA glue. But I like to just put some in there. I'll use a toothpick. I'll pull some onto the toothpick, and then I'll just very spot apply the glue. And this is ultra thin. That's unfortunately all I have. So it's a little more difficult to get on there. And then we can place, and again, we want to make sure we get this right. The cap goes to the back. And then we'll just hold. Now I have, you could use accelerant, but because of where this is located, I can't really use it. So I'll just hold that for just a second. But that's how I like to use my CA glue on little small models like this. It's a lot easier. Otherwise, you'll end up getting it where you don't want it. So you can just use, I just use a toothpick, but you can use whatever, just to spot apply the glue itself. And I tell you what we can do, I think that's actually going to hold, I think it's going to hold just fine. But what we can also do, actually, I guess maybe not. I guess that's making contact there, right? Let me try again with it. I have some thicker Starbond CA, but it's brown. I use it with woodworking, which the Starbond stuff is really good. In fact, that's what I think of it as originally. I'm pulling up some of this paint too, so I was putting red on here. I think that's what it was originally created for, was the woodworking community. But it definitely works with plastics also. So I think what I'm going to do is have that set aside, let it dry up. Again, I can't really get accelerant on that, so I'm just going to let it dry on its own. But because the next thing we need to also do, we're going to have to put that onto the chassis. And the chassis, it has those six pegs here, 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 and then there's two here, and you can see they're completely full of paint. So what I'm going to do, I think I've got a little, what do you call this, a pin vise. So it's just a little hand drill. And I think I'll try to drill out these holes, which this is going to be, I think that's too big a bit. In the back end of it, I've got all the different size bits here. And we'll just find the one we want. What's going to be the right size for these holes? I think this one will work fine. So we'll go ahead and put it in our... Am I doing it the wrong way? Is it going to hold this little big guy? There it is. And we'll use that to clean out our holes. Essentially just drill them out. Now I have found, so in the process of painting this, the plastic that this model is made with, I don't know if it's because it's old or if it's just the way these particular models are, is very brittle. Just in the sanding process, this is going to be too big bit. Do I have a little bit smaller? I got to be very careful because just in the sanding process, I have broken some of this plastic. Just barely any pressure at all. I've had to glue it back together, actually. Yeah, let me use this one, I think. So I'm going to have to be very careful. And just, heads up if you build this model in the future, or I don't know if it's just a thing with Fujimi. This is the first one I've built it. There's this pin vise is really not working for me. Let me go back to this guy because I think it's actually the right size. But we've got to get these holes cleaned out. But I just want to be very careful. Some of these little pieces, like this little guy here, if you can see it, literally broke just while sanding it. With not, I no pressure being applied to it, really. I think this is going to work okay. Yeah, I can feel the bit coming through, hitting my finger on the other side. I just don't want to give any pressure because I'm afraid I'll break these tabs off. Yeah, there we go. The right size for sure. I can feel, I'm putting my finger on the backside. I can feel the bit hit my finger on the backside once it makes it through. Now, the ones that is real important. So there's little bitty guys, but my pin vices, or this little guy is not wanting to hold. It's not the best, just like my nippers. If you're with this channel, I generally don't spend enough on tools. I buy the cheap, and this one, not the best in the world, but let's see if we can get that to, we've definitely got to clean these holes out because they're completely, yep, there we go. They're completely cleaned out or cleared out with, or what should I say? They're gummed up with paint. It's probably the best way to say it. And this seems to be working. There we go. Ouch. Right in the finger. All right. Let me put these back in here before I lose them. And we'll see if that, well, one, if that's glued up. And then we'll try to finish out. I guess that would finish out step one. I don't think there's any decals or anything. Doesn't look that way. All right, let's test fit this. I think it goes this way. That, I guess, slides right in there. See how well we're gonna. Yeah, these middle ones are still not really fitting in very well. I think they're going in. There we go. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so what I'll do, let me double check that I am doing this the right way. Yeah, it is this side. All right, so again, let's bring back our glue. Do I still have some here? Because this, now this is where you can really just use the, well, that's actually dried. It's all dried up, so we'll put us some more down. I've got to get me some of the thicker Star Bond. I need to call them, I guess. But now we just put it right in here. So we've got the clean plastic in there in these holes from where we just drilled them out. And then we kind of cleaned off the pegs. So we should get a good adhesion. Should, without using huge amounts of glue either. That's the other thing too, is you really want to try to limit the amount of glue you use, especially if you're using CA, because it can get real messy real quick. And then what I like to do, where did I put my, here it is. I should have these out already. Let's see, I can probably use this guy here. I like to use clamps to try to hold them in place. And as my CA glue is now drying very poorly, I should have these ready to go. And there went the gas tank, of course. We'll put it back. Let's see if we can get this to glue up. I think we're gonna have to, oh, it's gluing already. If I just hold it. Yeah, I wish I could get a clamp. I'm trying to see what I have. I have this big guy. I'm afraid this is really a strong clamp. I'm afraid it's going to do damage. We'll just hold it in place for a second. Well, that seemed to work. Okay, no clamps needed. I think I'm gonna have to drop. Let me let that dry up a little bit. I'm gonna have to actually drop a little drop of glue in there to hold this guy. It is really not wanting to do it here. Push this on as best I can. Just give some good pressure. Yeah, I think that's gonna be okay. I like how that is looking. Hopefully you guys can see where it's got some damage to the skid plate there. It looks pretty good. Yeah, it looks all right. Okay, so let me take, this is where I just want to be very careful. I don't want to make a mess with this. There we go. Let it sit flat on the ground here. Only thing is I don't want it to glue to the paper underneath. Yeah, let's say I think that's going to run through. I don't want to glue it to the table. So we'll let this just sit like so. I think that looks pretty good. I think that's I like how that looks dirty in there. I don't know if you guys can see it. Again, we'll probably go through and dirty up some of the framework too, or the chassis, I should say. How can I set this? I think I'm going to use my toothpick container. We'll just set it like that. So, because there's CA that's dripped through the underside of that. Let's get it out of the way like so, let it dry up. Now, next step. So that is this step here, except for any more wear marks we want to put on the chassis. That's got step 1 done. Now we'll move on to 2, where we have, let's see, I've already painted them up. We've got what I believe is going to be our steering column. And then this is the little guy that broke on me while I was smoothing it out. I think I got it back together pretty nice. It looks pretty good. Again, just glued it back together. That's one, I guess that would be the gas pedal. Then we have a brake pedal assembly here. So this is like I'm assuming this is the brake pedal that goes back to, I don't know if these have little master cylinders or whatever right back here that goes on this side of the chassis. So what I think we'll do, how do these attach? While we're waiting for that to kind of dry up a little bit, I'm going to prep this for paint. So we've got, it has a connection point here. And where is it? What else is it saying? Oh, and it is going to use these 2 little pegs here to make connection. So I think we'll take paint, clear the paint right there. We'll, because that'll be a glue point. And then again, where's the pin vise? We'll try to very carefully, this stuff is so brittle, very carefully clean this out. There you go. So you can see, probably can show you a little better now that I've got my pin vise all the way through. I can kind of clean this up without, hopefully without breaking it. There we go. So that's got that one. That's the 2. This one has the 1 glue point, which is just here. And I'm going to have to be very careful with this because it's already broken once on me. Here we go. Try to clean that hole out of there. Okay. And then this, okay, so let's take a look. Okay, so we're going to have to clean out the hole there for this to go into. I see it goes right here. You probably can't even see what I'm doing. Let me pull this back. There's actually a mounting hole right there for the steering column, and then that's going to sit. How do they show? I think it's going to sit kind of, it sits, does that go under? Yeah, I think it goes under and on top of the steering link there. That's interesting. I got to try. I'll have to try to. Yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like it goes on this. Just so you know what I'm talking about. They're so hard to see. I've got to build a model that's much bigger, so it'd be easier to see. You have two little tabs here, one on top, one on bottom. This steering column that's painted the darker color is going to run it right through there, so it's going to be a little bit tough to get in there. But I think we can get it done. Okay, is this gluing up, by the way? Yeah, this seems to be gluing up. Good. wonder if I can add. Make sure. I always just try to double check you don't want to be down the line and then things start falling apart on you. I just want to make sure things are getting glued together, because it can be tough sometimes with these little bitty tabs. Now, what's interesting is these white, the white pegs come through the bottom of the skid plate. Can you see how that's? You can see those white pegs. I guess the best thing we can do is maybe just paint them the silver color. Let's see. Just paint them the silver color and then kind of weather them in. Try to hide them. I mean, obviously, on the real kart, you wouldn't have that. I don't know why. It seemed like there'd be a better way to do that as far as the model is concerned. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to touch them up with silver. And they kind of disappear. Yeah, kind of just look like bolts now or something. I think that works. Hopefully y'all can see they just kind of disappeared there. That'll work for me. All right. Now, so we've got to try to get, what's the first thing we should do? I'm going to try to clean out this hole here that the steering column is going to go into. It's a little bit awkward. I think, is that going to be, I think I'm going to have to go to a bigger, just kind of put those up there. I'm going to have to go to a bigger drill bit for this one. It's a little bit bigger hole. I'm going to set these up here so I have them. Let's see. Let's go to this guy here. Yeah. Drill it out a little bigger than what that little bit was doing for us. There we go. I think that's going to work. Let's go ahead. I think we go ahead and try to do this. Where did I put it? I have lost the steering. Anybody see the steering column? If you see it, please yell out. Are you kidding me? So let me set these aside before I lose these. So that's the pedal assemblies. I have completely lost it. Where has the... Oh, there it is. I see it. Y'all are probably yelling at the screen. I found it. All right, let's go ahead and get some glue in there. I think this will probably still... Nope. I love using CA glue for this stuff because it dries so quickly. But it dries so quickly that it dries up on you. Make sure I get good little dot of glue in there. Okay. Now, hopefully, we can get this in. That is not the easiest of things to do. This should have been put in before. How is it? It has to go down. Yeah, it shows it. It has to go in there. This should have been put in before the skid plate, I think, because the gas tank's in the way. Oh, this is. Let me see. I'm gonna have to. What do I have? I'm gonna hold this up. What's happening is this is trying to flex on me too. I'm gonna hold that up a little bit so I can get in there to put this. You know what I'm gonna have to do? Let me get a big. I'm gonna get a big bit. I'm gonna drill that out quite a bit so it'll just fit right in. I think that's gonna be the way to do it. Just make this hole oversized for this so it'll just slide right in. I think that's the only option we're gonna have here. Okay, that's through it. Is that big enough? Problem is you can't get it in far enough to be able to get those two tabs I was showing you on either side of the steering linkage. Come on. And this stuff is so brittle, I'm afraid I'm going to break it. Okay, let's go one size bigger. This is the biggest I have, so hopefully from after this point I'm pulling out the real drill. Will this one even fit in here? This bit might be too big. Maybe I can do it by hand. Yeah, there we go. There it is. All right, well, there it is. Yeah, that was the answer. You definitely have to drill that out, make it nice and big so you can get it in and around. Let me see if I can just drop a little. I'm gonna put a little glue. I'm gonna put a little CA right in there where those two tabs. I know you guys probably can't see this, but right in there where the two tabs are touching the steering shaft, or the steering linkage, I should say. Yeah. Let's do that. Where's my toothpick? Still have some glue going on here. And that should glue into place. I didn't really get to clean that up too well. I think that should glue into place. I got to make sure it's centered too. I'm trying to just center it. I'm assuming on the fuel tank there. Because obviously we want our steering wheel to be centered. Now it's got a good bit of flex to it, so probably when it comes time to put the steering wheel on and everything, we'll have a little leeway, but I'd rather it be as close as it can be now. Okay, I think that's going to be okay if we let that dry. I think that'll be all right. All right, well, it's been, these little models like this, they can be very thinking, and I broke this loose, so let me re-glue this while I'm at it. Doing all that, I broke that backside loose. So let me get it back in place. I wish I had a clamp that I could get on that. I think the only thing I've really glued is my hand. Okay, let's push it back in place. Hold. I'm just going to hold it. Do this the old school method here. Just use my hand and hold it. And what are we going to be? Let me look forward to. Oh, yeah. So next we've got some front steering parts that we'll put together. Let me unstick my finger. All right, not too bad. It's looking all right. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and just from precautionary, I'm going to use, just to be a precaution, I'm going to set it on the toothpick. I don't want it to glue to the table. I've done that so many times. You'll glue it to your instruction page or to the table, and then you have real problems. All right, so that actually, oh no, we've got to put, take that back. We've got to put the pedals on yet, which we set up here. These, you know what, I hope let me test fit this here. I want to make sure. And I think what I'm going to do, so that is right here, is I think where this is going to set. And I think what I might end up doing, let me see if that, okay, we're going to have to definitely drill that out a little bigger. This is going to set over top that steering shaft, or steering linkage. I keep calling it a shaft. I've lost my tweezers. I know I had some. Here's a pair. Can we get that? It's going to sit right back here like that. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do, make life easy on us, I'm going to pull the paint off of here. Remember, we scrape some of the paint off of what I guess is a master cylinder. I really don't know what it is, but what I'm going to call master cylinder. So I'm going to pull the paint off here, and then you can see that these two holes, actually, y'all probably cannot see that at all, but the two holes here are very much full of paint. So if you remember right, we painted this chassis with what is actually automotive paint, like full-size automotive paint. So it's thick stuff. That's going to give us a place to glue there. I don't think I'm going to worry about cleaning those holes out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm literally just going to cut these tabs off. Like that. And then we'll just glue that to sit on there. But what I do need to do is open this hole up more. So let's go with, I think this one. I kind of just want to go a little bit oversized. But I got to be very careful again. Let's see if this will. Trying to be very careful. I know, when you've made it through, when you've drilled a little hole in your finger. There we go. I think that's going to be all right like that. Let me test fit. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. Yep, that's perfect. Will that sit down there? It will. Okay, so let's go ahead and give us some glue. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. I'm kind of putting it in the corner there so I'll have a little pool of glue. So I need to I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue here. There, and then I'm going to glue in the hole here. All right, and then let's make sure we do it the right way. And let that sit just like that. I think that's going to work. Okay, we're making progress. And I think that looks pretty good. But another thing I was thinking about doing while we're sitting here letting this dry a little bit is so like these pedals here, I think we're going to wear those in a little bit, maybe even the linkages. What I thought I would do, if you watched our last build, I think I'm just going to use a little silver rub and buff and just kind of mark those up where there's nice wear marks on those pedals where this, he's driven many, many miles, many, many laps in this cart, and you get a shiny surface on the pedals. And then of course back here in these linkages, maybe, because that's where you make adjustments. So there's wrenches on them and that kind of stuff. So I might just mark those up a little bit. Same thing with this other pedal, but let's get it. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. Let's get this other pedal installed. That is not a pin vise. That is a toothpick. Yeah, it goes. Okay. So let me very carefully. Make sure you guys can. And did I break it? That's right at that break. I did. So I think what we're going to have to do, I'm just going to let it be. I'm going to finish drilling this out. That little piece is so fragile. Let me see. Did it completely? Yeah, it did. So there you go. Here's how easily these little pieces break. So what I think we'll do, we'll mount this side and then we'll glue this to it. As tiny as this thing is, let me have the glue. And then where's my tweezers? I think is the way to do this. This is okay. These tiny little things. Come on. Get on there. And of course, the one I didn't test fit, and it's glued to my finger. There we go. Okay, now what I want to make sure, so it looks like they've got an angle back. I'm going to get this on the same angle. I'm assuming it will be on the same angle as the brake. I'm using one eye to try to look down it, make sure that's on that same angle. And then once that dries up, we'll go ahead and glue it back together where it broke. I think that's going to be about right. I mean, looking down it, can y'all look down that and see that see how that's sitting back, and then it comes up and over, which is how this is going to fit on there when we glue it back on, this tiny little piece. All right, and in fact, let's go ahead and do that. So give me my glue. See if we can get this fixed up so we can at least get through step 3. That would be nice. This will probably take some cleanup once we get it done. And what I can also do, you can take this, you take it with the tweezers, and just dip this end. You can see, dip this end in the glue there, and then it needs to come. This is going to be a pain right here. Wow, this is going to be something special. Let's see. Right, like you can see where it broken, how it's supposed to fit back together. I think that's about right. The thing, I want to make sure this is very, very close, because we're actually going to be putting a figure in this, driving it. So his feet, you know, we're putting an Ayrton Senna figure in here. So this all needs to kind of sit in the right. Okay, that's way off. What's going on? That is not how it goes. It looks like that's a very sad brake pedal. It needs to come up this way like this. I tell you. I hate when it's, yeah, this is pushed around is the problem. There we go. This is what I hate about Fragile. I think it's just because this kit is old. I've had this for quite a while, and I think the plastic basically just became very brittle. Yeah, that's not going to work. So let me back to the glue. It's always the answer. Just go back to the glue. That looks right there, if I can get it to hold. This is not easy. Sorry, guys. I'm sure this is great video content. Me struggling. You know what I might do? We might just put this. I'm gonna give it one more go, but I might just fix this in between episodes. That's probably what I should do. We're actually almost out of time, so let me see if I can get this on here. Just get a better grip, so we can take a final look at what we got done today. So let's actually see where we're at. Oh, I know one thing I wanted to mention. So before the throttle body had broken, this is an old model. It's very brittle, and I had broken the throttle body. I tried a bunch of times last episode to glue it back together. But one thing I realized, I looked forward, and we actually have a piece. It looks like it's basically like a sway bar that mounts here, and now you can see that the gas pedal or the throttle pedal is right on the edge of this sway bar. So I think I can actually use it to kind of glue to along with that surface. The problem I was just having is these pieces are so thin, I could not get it to stay glued together where it had broken. I think this will help to have that surface to also glue to. Anyways, so let me go ahead and pull that off. So the main thing I have to do is just keep track of this little guy so I don't lose it. But let's go ahead and move forward with where we're at. And I think where we're at is attaching this kind of, I don't even really know what it is. I guess it's basically the dashboard along with this little hoop part of the chassis. And what it does is it actually encapsulates the steering column and then attaches that to the floorboard down here. I've already used the little pin vise and drilled this out to open up that hole from all the paint and whatnot. Now, I need to try, so I was wondering what this hole in the fuel cell was actually for. Well, there's a little peg right here that I've got to get to try to fit in there, along with a hole down in the floorboard. So let's see if we can get this. Actually, I think if I just place it, let's go ahead and put the steering column through its little mounting hole. Let's see, I just want to pre-fit this. Is that going to fit in there? Yeah, I think that's going, well, that's not really, I think it's supposed to go further down. Well, that's actually sitting on top of the gas tank, so it's probably about as far as it's going to go, I would think. Yeah, I think that's about how it's supposed to go. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and see if we can pull that back off without pulling everything, without breaking anything. Come on. But you know what we might do? Since it's in such a good place here, I might just glue on the back side of that. Here's what I'm going to do. Let me go ahead and drop some CA glue in here. This is kind of how I was doing it before. And in fact, if you let that CA glue sit just a bit, I'm going to let it dry up just a bit. Then I think I can put a touch of it just on the back side of where that attaches. I'm trying to make sure we're fully seated on the floorboard side. It looks like it can go in just a little better here. But I think that's about all we're going to be able to, I think that's what we're going to get. I think that's about how it's going to go. You can see that it's just kind of sticking in that peg hole. Okay, but anyways, let's put some glue just right on the back side. Where did my toothpick go? Right on the back side here, just to hold this in place. Right back here. I think this will glue it up, I think, pretty well. I let that sit just a second, just as kind of to gel up just a little bit, the CA glue, and then we'll touch it right there. And then also the other thing is when we put the steering wheel on, that'll hold kind of everything together. I think that's going to be okay. Move this out of the way. I think that looks okay. I think this, I'm looking at this chassis. You guys tell me. It looks like it might be just a little twisted. I guess we'll find out when we put the wheels on if it's got a twist to it. Sometimes these old kits, they can sit around and I don't know if the heat will do it or like get them flexed out of shape a little bit. But anyways, let's just keep moving forward and we'll see what happens. I think next is actually what I was talking about earlier. We're going to attach the sway bar here. And I think once that sway bar is attached, we'll be able to attach the gas pedal, the broken gas pedal back on. I'm going to go ahead and pull a little paint off of these pegs here, like so. I already drilled out the mounting holes. I did that in between episodes too. I went ahead and cleaned out all the holes on the chassis so we don't have to do that while we're here together. Just like that. And then this is going to be the gluing surface for here. So I'm going to just try to remove some of this paint. Like so. And then where do they mount here? I think, do they mount right over top? Yeah, they mount right there. So I'm going to just pull a little paint off here, off the chassis also. Just a little bit. Just enough to give a plastic on plastic kind of gluing surface there. Let me use this glue that I had going already. And I'll just put a touch in each of those spots. And then I'm going to put a touch in these holes. And this is where I think it's really going to mount up, is in the little holes here. All right, now let's go ahead and mount that up. She's going to go just like this. Now we just want to make sure everything sits flush down. And what I'll do a lot of times, you can set something on there just to let it kind of hold it in place, give pressure. It doesn't take very long for CA glue to set. So I'll just use whatever I have sitting around, which is usually a paint bottle, to apply that pressure. In fact, let me just kind of slide this up into the side a little bit while that glues up. We got to remember to put the gas pedal back on. But then next we're going to go on, I think we can move on to step, step 4. Step 4, which is, it looks like it's the front pod and then the front panel here too. They're calling it a front cowl. On go-karts, I've always heard them called pods, but whatever. The front bumper, those which are right here. Here's all the body work. In fact, those I'm going to hold off on just for right now. I don't have the white paint that I want to use for those, so I think we'll leave those off till the end. Plus, I think I might. Well, no, I won't. I was thinking I would paint them on the sprue, but I'm not going to do that. I will actually remove them. I want them to be nice and clean and shiny and pretty. The rest of this we're going to be weathering up, but I want those to be nice and clean, like the cart's been cleaned. So I want those to be nice and pretty. So I want to make sure and have the right paint. I don't want to just use Rust-Oleum and paint that's really not meant for these. I want to do that right. But what I can do, or what I've already done, is gone ahead and painted up the seat. So we can put the seat in, and then we've got all these extra little chassis pieces. You guys can see this, right? Let me scoot it over a little bit. We've got all these little chassis pieces. In fact, they're right here. There's that piece. We got, let's see if I can't even pick them up. They're so tiny. We got these pieces here. And then we've got another piece, this little guy that as I was sanding it, I broke it. They're just so brittle. And I was literally just sanding the little bit of flashing of paint I had on there off and literally broke it. And I glued it back together and it's very bent. And I literally spent, this was in between episodes, of course, I spent 20 minutes messing around with this little guy. It finally glued up, bent. I don't care. We're going to make it work. So it might look like there's a bent, it might look kind of cool because it might look like there's a bent support for the seat, which, can happen, I would think. But those we'll go ahead and put in. The seat we're going to put in. I'm sure this is glued up by now. Yeah, that's good and solid. I think the last thing we'll do, you guys remind me, go down in the comments right now and remind me. The last thing we're going to do is re-glue up the gas pedal. And I'll use, like I said, I'll use that surface to help hold it. But for right now, let me see. What we really need to see is kind of order of operation here. Do we mount the seat first? Is that going to be, let me just kind of test fit the seat to begin with. So there's a hole there and then the 3 holes there, which of course none of this really fits in. I'm kind of amazed. I know I've got some pretty thick paint on these things. Do I have the thickest drill bit I have right now to clean these holes out with is right here, and it won't fit in my pin. Well, the holes are even bigger than this guy. Well, not this one. Okay, there we go. So sometimes you can use these just by hand. Let me see if I can drill that one out. Yeah, that helped a little bit. Now if I can get the bit back out. Because these are really not wanting to fit together. I'm pretty sure they're supposed to fit in, like pushed in, not just sit on them. I'm not for sure though. That looks way rocked back. Yeah, that's going to have to go in. So I think what I'm going to have to do is sand these down a little bit. See if I can get them sized down just a little bit. Get them to fit into those holes. I think I've just got too much paint build up, not only on these pegs, but also in the holes they are supposed to go into. So I think it'd be easiest just try to sand it off like this, as much off as I can at least. I don't want to sand up the seat too much though. And then let's see if I can get that to fit. Yeah, they really don't want to go in these holes, do they? And I do not want to break the chassis. Okay, it looks like the back peg is now going in. It's just these front pegs. So let me see. Let me do it. Let's bring out the big guns and get the X-Acto and see if I can clean out these holes with it. Just start to kind of drill them out with the X-Acto. It's almost like a step bit. Yeah, that really opened that one up. And I don't mind if they're oversized because we're going to glue it in there. I just want those pegs to be able to go in because that's what's going to orient the seat in the right place. There it went. Yep, perfect. That did the job. Okay, so now what we can do, boy, this chassis does look, I'm going to open up this back one. This chassis does look twisted to me, but maybe it's just looking that way. All right, let's see if I still have some glue here that hasn't dried up on me. Yep. So we'll just put here and here, and then in the back hole here. And that's going to actually be a very good glue up surface. There it went. And it's sitting flush in the back. Perfect. Nice. And then, so you can see here the 3 peg holes on the bottom. I think what I'll have to do is just touch those up along with this, where the, what do you call that? The center console kind of comes through right there. We'll have to clean all, or just kind of touch it up, I guess. Touch these up with some red paint just to kind of hide those. But yeah, there we go. Okay. Oh, you know what? I did that. I hope that was supposed to be the first. Whoops. I hope that was the first. I hope we can get these in with the. I think so. I think we were supposed to put the seat in first. Yeah. And then these are going to go. This is going to be tough. Where's my tweezers? These I do. Let me see. I need to see which one's which. This is, yeah, this goes on, I guess, what would be considered driver's side. Now, it's obviously, it's a cart, so it's a single seater. Does that just kind of sit against, let's see, where's that supposed to go? Not sure if I'm following. They obviously go in these holes and then against the seat. I guess just kind of like that. Are these the right? Let me try the other one. I'm trying to make sure. I think, nope. Yeah, I think this is actually the driver's side. Yeah, it's going to go like, yep, that's how it's showing to go, like that. Okay, so let me go ahead and get the glue for that. Let me not confuse it. Move this one out of the way so I don't confuse them. And our glue is still hanging in there. It's nice when you let the CA just kind of sit like this because it gels up, especially this ultra thin stuff. So you get a little bit more body out of the glue. And I think I'm just going to glue those two holes. I don't want to glue the silver because it'll smear the paint. I don't want to distort the paint. Let me grab this with the tweezers again because that worked pretty well. And now we're going to go this hole, and then lean it against the seat there. This is what's kind of holding the seat supports. Now where I drilled out these holes, hopefully you guys can see, we're going to have to do some touch up at the end, some red touch up, but that's okay. That's easy enough to do when the time comes. Now let's go this side, and this one goes which way? This goes this way, I think. Let me dry fit it. It's going to go here, 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 and then to there. Yep, just like the other side. Okay. If I can have it back now, please. So let's go ahead and get it glued up. Right here. That hole and that hole. All right. Make sure we get stuck in the correct holes, and then tilt it over where it goes, just like that. All right, that looks good. All right, and then where does the big one goes? Or I'd say the big one, it's just a thicker piece. Let me orient this correctly. Going to sit that way. And this is going to go, I guess, like this. Yeah, I think so. It's going to go this way, like this. Is going to come out of here. That does not seem correct. I think it might go, well, it can't go that way. It has to go, yeah, it has to go like this. Where does it show? It's connecting right, oh, I think just right above. Oh, this goes right above, I see, it goes right above where the axle is going to go. So there, right there, and then it bends over into that silver piece. Okay, got it. All right, so what I need to do is pull some paint off of this little tab. In fact, I just need to pull it off the inside, this side here. Just kind of scratch off some of that paint on the inside here very carefully. In fact, I think I'm going to do it with the sanding stick like so. Okay, I think that's going to be okay, and then it's going to fit right in. I don't want to knock these other ones around, so I got to be real careful. it's going to fit right in here above where the axle kind of caps. It'll be the top cap of the axle housing here. Let me get this paint scraped off, because that's where the glue is going to go, which let me do that now. Touch some glue in here. By the way, this is Starbond CA glue. It really is the best stuff, I think, that I've used for sure. You can get a discount on it if you want down in the description of the video. Kind of check if you want to check out some CA glue. There we go. That's a big heavy brace right there for the seat. And then the last one, and I think I'm gonna let this dry up just a little bit. The last one is this poor guy, the one that broke. Or it's gonna look, at most it's gonna look bent. I think it's gonna go. It goes from that hole right there. Let me see if I can just try to fit this while the glue is drying on those other pieces. I'm just curious how this is going to fit bent. If we can make it look, I think we can probably do it. I think we can make it just look like a bent bar in the chassis. Because if you bent this, I don't know, you took a hit or something and it kind of bent this bar, yeah, that'll work. It's going to fit. It's going to fit just fine. Yeah, I think it'll work like that. So let me actually go ahead and glue it up. I think that'll look it'll look okay. That's a bar that you probably wouldn't replace. All it is a support for the seat. Make sure I get it glued. So if you bent this bar in the chassis, it's probably not one you're going to automatically, cut out and weld in a new one for. So you would just leave it bent or just bend it to where it needs to be. Which, yeah, can kind of be what that's going on there. That doesn't look bad at all. I'm okay with that. Let me just make sure you guys can see it. Can you see how that's bent? Let me see. Yeah, there you go. Can you see how that's bent? But I don't even think it's necessarily noticeable. We will have to do some paint touch up for sure. Let me make sure this one is where it needs to be. There we go. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to do some paint touch up, but that's okay. Let's and that, I think that's like the full chassis. Actually, kind of cool. I've never built a little go-kart before, a go-kart model. Just a single gear too. It's not even a shifter cart, it's just a single gear cart. It's looking pretty neat. Okay, anyways, let's set that down. So that's got everything done here that we can do, because we're gonna wait on these body pieces. Or we're gonna have to wait on them just because I don't have the body paint I want to use. So let me go ahead. I'm gonna slide this. Let me slide it right over here, out of the way, and I'm gonna let that. I moved it way off to the side. We're gonna let that dry up because I think what I want to do next is put this engine assembly together, and then we can do a little bit of work with that. So I've pre-painted them. Let's see. We've got an engine block here that I did silver. Let me go ahead and cut them loose. The engine block is silver. I did the head. Went ahead and did it silver also. I mean, these are the colors that the instructions call for. So there's our engine, the head of the engine, and then what do we have? We have like this. It's one of the silencers. Where is that at? Here it is, because I pre-painted it also. And I painted it, I think they called for it to be painted. Let me see what 2 is. I forget what color they called for it to be painted. They called for it to be painted black. I actually painted it the gunmetal color, just to give it a little kind of a metallic sheen. This gunmetal, basically, I don't know how well y'all can tell on YouTube, but it's basically a dark gray with a little bit of metal flake in it, just tiny to give it a bit of a metal sheen. Let me clean this stuff up. All these painted pieces are going to need cleanup from where we just clipped them. But that's to be expected. In fact, let me sand some of this nice and smooth, make it pretty. And then what I think I'll do just real quick on this one, like that, is go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and touch up the paint on this so it'll be drying while we put together the engine and the head. So this is a little bit of our gunmetal, just a drop. It's not going to take much. So I just need to put a little on the end here. Just kind of touch that up. And then let me see if I can hold it by that. Hold it by the tiniest of pieces and then touch this up a little bit. Yeah, I think that'll look good. And then we'll just set it to the side where you guys can still see it. Set it right there. Clean my brush. All right, now let's put together the engine itself. And it's not much to it. It's basically just a little engine block and then, like I said, just the head. Let me sand this or get the paint off of it. Looks like it's keyed. It's got a flat side. Yeah, it's got a flat keyed side. I know you guys can't see it, but it's flat here and then round. It's a round peg with a side cut off, so it'll be keyed and only go on, or it'll only go in the engine block one way. Let me clean that out a little bit too. Where's my X-Acto? It'll be the easiest way. Just scrape some of that paint out of there, like so. And let's pre-fit it just to do our due diligence. Yeah, it's gonna fit. Whoops, it's gonna fit in just fine. It looks like it's gonna fit together fine. So let's go ahead and glue it up. Which bring our glue back over. It should still have. Yep, still doing good here. Let me make sure we get it nice and glued in there. It doesn't really take much CA glue. It doesn't matter what kind of CA glue you're using. It does not take much to hold. You used to remember the old, I guess it was Crazy Glue, the old Crazy Glue commercials where they'd hang the guy from his hard hat from an I-beam. I think it was like they lift an I-beam up and he would hold onto his hard hat that was glued, crazy glued to the I-beam with one drop of glue, which super glue, crazy, that's CA glue. Same difference. So there we go. We've got that glued together, and then the only other thing that's going to go on there is the silencer. But what I want to do, one is let's see if we can't clean some of this. They have the air vents. They're not vents. What do you call these? Fins. The fins that disperse the heat off the head on top here. But then they had it connected to the sprue within that. Within these, and it really kind of goofs them up, but I guess we're just gonna have to go with what we got there. But what I want to do, let me bring this back over, and I'm going to dump us out some black wash, and I think we're going to give this thing a full wash of black to really bring out the details and to just dirty it up a little bit. Let me get a little bit more than that. Yeah, that was, I had to double check I grabbed the right one. Okay. So what we'll do, I'll just paint literally just paint the whole head like so. And I don't even know if I'm going to wipe it. I think I'm just going to kind of wipe it with the brush itself, the wet brush. Yeah, and I like how that, see how that already looks? It already looks, hopefully you guys can see, that already looks better. Make sure that's focusing for you. It already looks more like a real engine. I don't even mind grabbing it like so, because I don't, we want it to be irregular and just dirty. And I mean, it's a motor, it's not going to be clean. And I think we'll just go just like that. You know what I should have done was, I can use is this guy here. Will that hold it? Just hold it like that. I'm holding it by the peg that it mounts with. I should have held it this way to do the wash. There we go. Yeah, I like that much better. That looks, then the nice shiny silver, that looks much better to me. So we'll let that dry up right over here. And then let me clean my brush. I have already painted, oh, that's over there. I'd already painted, oh, there it is, the the disc for the disc brake. So let me go ahead and clip that out of here. If I can get it. Yeah, it already pre-painted it. It'll need a touch up once I clip it here. There it is. So let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit, just where we clipped it off the sprue. Make sure we're nice and round. We want our brake disc to be nice and round for sure. Like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and touch that up. I don't know if those edges will even show or not, but for me, I still have silver in there anyways. It doesn't matter. It's the old rule, you know, you paint even the insides of things that'll, oh, that's not, we don't have any paint there. It's a big old pile of dried up paint. You always paint the insides, paint the back sides, paint the sides you don't think will ever be seen. It's a good habit to get into because the time will come where you don't and you wish you had. It's just, like I always say, it's just doing your due diligence. So I don't know if these edges will actually show because it's probably going to be up in a wheel, I would assume. But it doesn't matter. They might be able to be seen. So I'm going to, go ahead and paint them. Set that over there. Or at least clean it up, Do that. And then where does let's see, the silencer, how does it attach? It attaches to the head. And then, so it goes this side. So this one attaches on that side, and it attaches by this guy here. Like that. Yeah, it's going to go like that. Looks like it aims straight down, I suppose. Something like that. Probably wouldn't sit on the head, so I want to keep it up off, or I want to sit against the block, whatever that is there. Okay, so let me go ahead and that is actually good on that side, but I need to clean this up. I feel like this is still a little wet, but that's okay. And it takes a little, extra minute or whatever to get this paint off like what I'm doing right now. But trust me, it is worth it. Because you don't want to get down the road and have things falling apart. This is from experience. There's nothing that's more of a pain. So I just put a little of the glue on the end there. Now let me make sure my engine's oriented correctly. It's going to go on the same side as this little lump part that's sticking out. And then we'll stick it on in there. I'm going to try to keep it. I'm going to hold it upside down just a second so that it stays off of the engine block itself. I would not think you would have that touching. In real life, you wouldn't have one of your silencers touching the engine block. That wouldn't make sense from a heat standpoint. Okay, what else is going to go? Oh, we're going to need our drive shaft, aren't we? We've got a copper drive shaft. I wonder if I can hold this and open our drive shaft. Hold it with one hand. Let's see. I don't think it's gonna happen. Okay, I don't want to mess this up. How can I hold this now? I got myself in a situation. Will that sit? Not really, huh? No, I think it's actually glued. But I don't want to. I'd rather it. I can probably just sit it against well, maybe not. It's glued. Okay, so we'll just set it like that. It's in fact, I'll set it up straight up ways if I can, or close to straight up ways. Let's do this. There we go. Beautiful. Now let's get our axle out because we're going to need this. Just a copper axle. So, come out for me. There we go. And let's see. We're going to need our chassis. Let's make sure our axle fits through the chassis, okay? Oops. Actually a little tight. I think that's where we put that piece in, but that's okay. I'd rather it fit tight like that. That's actually okay. Let me look at this. I don't know if it's. I was looking to see if the chassis twisted like I was thinking. I don't know. Maybe not. I think it's just the way it is. Just the way the chassis. It's not the same both sides, so it just looks. It makes it look kind of weird, I guess. All right. Anyways, that's how that's going to go. And then we need. What did we do? We need this guy. Which way does it go on? It doesn't. I think it goes this way. It goes. So we have a kind of a flat side, which just makes sense. This flat, undetailed side is going to go in the wheel that's going to be on there. And then the more detailed side goes to here. Is that going to fit on there very well? Not really. Okay. Who's surprised? So let me see. How are we going to do this? Let's do the old X-Acto knife. And what I'll do this time is we're going to kind of ream it out from both sides without really, hopefully, damaging it. Now, let's see. Will that fit? There it goes. Now, I don't know how far. I think I'm just going to leave it kind of like that, because what we're going to end up doing, I see, we're going to put our, which I've actually already painted, so I'll show you guys. We're going to put our chain on this other side, and then it's going to get sandwiched by the wheels, wheel and tire combinations when we put those on. And I already went ahead and painted up. Can you see the chain set? So it actually called for it to all it just called for it to be silver and black. I did kind of a gold color with a silver in center, and then of course I did the gunmetal chain. It called for just a black chain, but I think that's going to look a little better. And then I guess I can go ahead and put this on. Is it going to go? Yeah, I think it actually goes this way. Oh, and this fits much easier. That's nice. Does that attach? What is this end attached to? Oh, you know what? We probably should wait. We probably should wait because the motor's got to go in. Okay, that makes more sense. So I'll wait on that until the motor goes in. I think that's going to look pretty good. Speaking of our motor, I think it's probably good to go. And it attaches here, but let me make sure we're going to fit where it needs to go. How does this go? Did I do? Yeah, it points down. Oh, it goes this way. Huh. Oh, fits in perfect. Okay, so let me just kind of clean. Let me clean up this hole a little bit so we get a good gluing surface. Sorry if I go silent sometimes. I'm trying to think in my brain at the same time, and I literally can't chew gum and walk at the same time. I mean, it's just an unfortunate fact of life for me. So I go silent sometimes. I can't. Sometimes if I'm really concentrating, I've got to think about what I'm doing. Okay, I think that's going to be good. Let me see if I still have some of this glue that'll work here. Yep, should still be good. It's nice and thick at this point too. So I'm just going to glue right in the hole there. And then that silencer actually goes forward that way. And it sits in just like that. But the silencer should have been angled out a little bit. Yeah, that's all right. Nice. All right, so now I think this will slide on and connect right there to the motor, won't it? Other than I'm gonna have, no, it should be good. We need to get that. I'm going to go ahead and do that because I want. Let me drill this out a little bit. I want to go ahead and make that connection so that the motor gets located in the right place. By putting this chain on there, that'll locate the motor correctly because it goes on that little out shaft, that little drive shaft of the motor, just like that. And I'm going to leave that, I think, just loose like that. The wheels themselves will hold it in place. But that looks pretty cool. Actually, really like that. It's looking good. It's looking good. We'll do a little bit of touch-up paint. We'll have to do a little bit of touch-up on the red on some of the some areas. We still want to. Oh, thank you for reminding me. Anybody that commented down below, thank you for reminding me. I need to hopefully not have lost the gas pedal. Where did it go? Are you kidding me? Does anybody see it? That was the one. The one mission was to not lose the broken gas pedal. Where did you go? Oh, I swear to God. Did I lose it? It has been the bane of my existence, this gas pedal. It has been something special. Well, I'm not going to spend the next 20 minutes searching for it because it's around here somewhere. I know it is. I know y'all watched me knock it wherever I knocked it to. But I'm going to have to find it, I guess, on my own time. But for now, because let's see, next is going to be the wheels and tires, which I've got the wheels right here. The tires, I need to look and see. I think I have some tire blacks somewhere in this workshop of mine, but I need to find it. I'm afraid it's going to be brush, though. Sure would like to have tire black that was spray. Sure would like to spray the tires. Brushing tires, it never looks good. You need to spray them and then wear them. So I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to paint these tires in between episodes. I'm going to have to find the gas pedal and hopefully for the last time install it. But here we are so far, guys. I think that's looking pretty good. The question everybody has, yes, I did find the broken gas pedal. You can see that it has been attached, and I did attach it in the way that I said I was going to do it by basically using this sway bar to help support that gas pedal. And if you watched last episode, in fact, so just to let you know, to find that, I could not find it. I spent 20 minutes trying to find it where it went. And I had to go back to the footage from last episode to see what happened. And if you notice, if you watched that last episode, you might have noticed I threw an arrow on the screen when it disappeared, which is what helped me find it. But I did find it, did get it attached, so we do have the gas pedal. I was really thinking we were going to have to make our own. But anyway, so that's where we're at now. Let me set this aside. Where the rest of what we need to do, the body work. So let me show you the body work. I did get white paint, and I did already get them painted. Let me bring over the board where I'm painting it. I painted these this morning. So here's the side pods. We got the front piece and then the front pod here. This, I think, probably still needs to dry. I think, I mean, they're kind of dry to the touch, but I want them to be fully dry because I don't want any of this to get I want the body work to look really nice. The chassis, we're doing some weathering and that kind of thing too. But the body work, I want to be really nice. So I think I'm going to let this dry until tomorrow before I start really messing with it, touching it, doing anything like that. So I'm just going to set it back aside. So with that said, we can't really finish out step 4. I mean, we got the seat in, we got all these pieces of the chassis in. We're going to have to skip the bodywork for now. This step 5, we've got the motor in, the axle, all that. Now, so that moves on to step 6, where we've already got the chain in, but we need the wheels and tires. The wheels, I went ahead and pre-painted. They're still here on the sprues. Got those pre-painted. And then I started working on the tires, which I've got... the back tires look really good. I used the rough side of my fingernail file to give them some texture, like they've been scuffed in. Now the problem with the front tires As you can see, I've already put some filler. Hopefully you can see there's filler on them. They actually had big divots in them from the molding process. They weren't molded very well. They had big divots, both tires, both front tires, kind of all the way around. So I'm using some filler to fill these tires so I can smooth them out and then scuff them in. And just let me grab this here. I can show you what filler I like to use. I always use it's U-Pole's. Well, let me show you better. It's U-Pole's Dolphin Glaze. It's their ultra fine finishing glaze. This stuff you can get it on Amazon. It's a little pricier than like a Bondo or something, but it is the best. It sands perfectly smooth. It's really is just the best. You're paying for what you're getting with that. So just a top tip. I don't, no sponsorship or anything. Just that's what I use and love to use. But with that said, that means we're going to need to sand these down smooth, which I can kind of start. This stuff sands so easily. It's not going to take a terribly long time to do this, but I don't want to bore you guys with it. So I think I'll do this in between episodes. And then I did get the black paint that I'm going to use to paint them with, which I'm using this Bear stuff. I had really good luck. I painted the seat with the flat black, and I really like it. It worked well. So I was at the Home Depot, and I picked up some satin black for the tires. I think that'll make a good tire black. Oh, and this is actually what I use to paint the body. Is they're just gloss white, just straight gloss white. So I'll paint it with this after I've sanded down and smoothed out the front tires. And then I'll do that in between episodes. So you don't have to sit here and be bored with me doing more sanding. So with that says, all that we have left on this step is to put in this back. Oh, you can't even see. Let me scoot up. Is put in this back bumper right here, which I have already pre-painted. I do need to drill out. What did I do with my little pin vise? I got a coffee cup in the way there. All right, let me just drill this out just a little bit. This might be a little big, but I think it'll be okay. Drill it out just a little bit so it'll fit on nice and easy. We'll test fit it before we actually glue it up. I think I've got some glue already pre-prepped in our little tin we've been using for the glue. Let's use this, and it just attaches to the back onto these pegs here, which I'll need to sand down a little bit, get the paint off of. But let's see if that's going to fit okay. Our chain just fell off, but we don't have it glued in place because we're just going to use I think I'm going to use the wheels to hold it in place. I think that's going to need a little bit better drilled out, but with a smaller drill bit. Let me see if I can just do it. I might be able to just do it by hand, just to kind of clean out these holes. Yeah, there we go. I think that's probably going to do the trick. And again, you want to make sure you have good mating surfaces, I guess you would call it. You want to make sure you got plastic on plastic. So this helps clean out the paint. So those little pegs will fit in here and you can get a nice tight fit. But also so we can get a plastic on plastic glue bonding point. With that said, I need to take the chassis. I'm just going to sand these down just a little bit, these little pegs here. You don't have to do, as long as they're able to fit in, you just need some clean plastic for a bonding point. So you don't have to necessarily sand the whole pegs down, if that makes sense. Just get you a couple good surfaces that'll glue up. All right, now let me test fit it again before we actually apply the glue. I think that's gonna be fine. Perfect. Okay, and I had some, let me make sure and see if I'm gonna set this chain ring aside for now. I had some glue going from what I glued just a little bit earlier. I glued the accelerator or the gas pedal on. Oh yeah, we're still good. So I've got some glue here. I'll use my, basically this is just, probably should get it where guys can see it. Down here in the corner, I used some Star Bond. If you haven't been with us or you're new to the channel, I use Star Bond. In fact, there's a discount code down in the description if you guys want to try out some Star Bond. I have their super their super thin stuff, their CA glue. It's all I have on hand right now. It is not a brown color that I use for woodworking. But if you go ahead and just squeeze some out in here and let it sit for a bit, it kind of gels up and it makes it a lot easier, in my opinion, to use. I can kind of just fill these holes here. I want to make sure and get it nice Ooh, that's too much. That would have made a mess. Yeah, I think that's going to work for us just like that. Move this back out of the way, and then we'll get the back bumper attached. And that, with the back bumper on, I think is the full chassis. Here we go. Now, what I want to do is make sure, I look from the side, and I'm not going to spray this with accelerator because it just hazes everything over, makes a mess. So we'll do this kind of the old-fashioned way, where I'm just going to hold it. But I'm looking, if you guys can see also, I'm looking at it from profile so that I can see, yeah, that the chassis continues straight into the bumper. So I know we're nice and level. I think that's going to be fine. And then I can probably set it down. Oh, okay, it sits off of the... And here's how you can see why I thought it was this. The last episode, I kept thinking the chassis, I don't know, maybe not. The chassis had a twist to it. We're really not going to find out until we put the wheels on. We're going to do all this work and then we're going to have a nice twisted chassis. I don't know, maybe it's sitting flat. So we'll let that dry up to the side. In fact, I'm going to have to move it off the side even a little further because what we're going to do next, I think the only thing we can do now, so without including the wheels and tires, that finishes up step 6. So the next thing, kind of up on the list, I guess. Well, I pre-painted the expansion chamber and silencer back here, and also this little fender that goes, or I guess really it's a chain guard. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's a chain guard, number plate, and then our silencer and whatnot, and then the side pods. I guess we can go ahead and do those. Let me, where are my snips? They're way over here. Yeah, let's go ahead and get this put together, I think. And that'll get the motor finished up. You can see I also pre-painted the steering wheel, which is red. And I used a different red than the chassis because I would assume this is some kind of covered material, which is not going to be the exact as the same color as the red of the chassis. So it's a little different red, which I think it'll look good like that. So that's the silencer or the expansion chamber. Now I just need this, what they're calling the silencer here. And we are going to have to clean up the little bit of sprue here. Just clean it up, which is going to take a little paint off, but that's okay. We'll touch it up once we're done. That looks good. And I tried not to paint this surface here so that we'll get a good glue up surface. And then where was this one? Here we are. Let's clean this up a little bit. In fact, I think we could probably clean up this whole edge. It's got a bit of a molding line in it. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. All through here. You can really see where I'm sanding with the dark color. Trying to just sand off that. It's a mold line that runs right across here. I want to sand that down smooth because obviously that wouldn't be there on the real thing. And then I need to clean up this side. I'm going to start with keeping the X-Acto flat against it. Just take it down a little bit, and then we'll sand it up nice and smooth. And I kind of, when I do this, by the way, with a rounded surface, I'm not just going back and forth because then you're going to put a flat spot across it. As I sand, I kind of twist it in my hand. This is how I do it, at least, to kind of keep that, it rounded. Hopefully that makes sense. And I'm shaking my face cam. Sorry about that. Okay, and then we'll repaint this, which will be fine. But what we'll do now, actually, let me go ahead and sand, because I did get paint all on here. Let me sand this down. In fact, I can probably just sand this surface here. There we go. And then let me grab some glue from over here. Let me bring it over with us. Here we go. Let's get it glued up real well. There we go. Now we're talking. Okay. Let me wipe that off a little bit. That was quite a bit. And then this is keyed, so it's kind of got a flat side to the peg. So this is only going to go on one way, just like that. There we go. That looks good. So there's our silencer and our expansion chamber, I guess. It's kind of interesting. It has two. So we have exhaust up front here, and then we have the exhaust that comes out the back. I'm not familiar. I mean, it's just a single cylinder. Are these Are these 2-strokes? I mean, they have to be with these expansion chambers and whatnot. They have to be a 2-stroke. But I've never seen the 2-sided exhaust. I don't know. Anyways, or is one side? Well, where's the carburetor? So is one side the actual intake side, and then the other side it's a big expansion chamber for the intake? I don't know. Anyways, we're just building it how it says to build it. This is definitely the exhaust side, I would say. Let me grab this back. We'll touch up the paint on this, so we'll have it done. Let it dry while we move on. It's working on a little bit something else. Where's my brush? And this is easy enough to just touch up real quick. Just where I sanded it here. And I try to keep the brush strokes out of it. You could spray all this. If I had my airbrush set up, I would probably airbrush all of this. In fact, most all this paint I'm using is actually airbrush paint. It's Vallejo Game Air and stuff like that. Yeah, they're airbrush paints. But that's going to work just fine. I'm going to set that to the side. I think that's big enough where I won't lose it. All right. And then now what I think we'll do, I don't want to put, we need to let that finish gluing before we put the number plate on the back. I don't want to put, you guys see what I'm pointing at? I don't want to put this chain guard on because I don't want to put any of this together until I have the wheels on. So I'll have to put the chain back on, the wheels on. Then I think I'll put the chain guard on. I'm afraid if I put that chain guard on now and I try to put the wheels on, I might end up breaking it off. So I'm just gonna go in the order of operation they have here. So with that said, while this dries up, what I think we can do now is move on to Senna himself. The man himself. We can just start building his figure. And what I think we'll do, I think the best way that's going to be to do this. Let me go ahead and pull him over here, move everything else out of the way. And you can see he was molded out of clear plastic, which is interesting to me. I'm not sure why. If anybody knows why they would do this out of clear plastic, because we're going to paint on top of it. It's not. I don't know. I don't know why they did that. But I think that our best bet, well, other than the visor is clear, did they mold the whole body out of clear? Because the visor, I bet that's the answer. I bet they did not want to do one small little sprue with just the visor, so they just did everything out of the clear. That kind of makes sense. But what I think we'll do is just put his full body together. I think it's going to be the best bet, and then paint it from there. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and start pulling all his body parts off, starting with his iconic helmet. Yeah, there's even a bubble in there. This is such a thick, clear piece. I don't know if y'all can see that. There's a bubble in the middle of the mold. But let me go ahead and get, let's see, his arm here. And we'll go ahead and get started on him. Oh, what I missed. It's not clip. Get off there. There we go. Here's his body. I don't think he's very posable, but his head. Well, that might be what that bubble is in there. It's to fit. It's like a ball and socket joint for his head, where his head might be a little movable, a little bit of articulation. Nothing else is like that, though. I don't think. Everything else is going to be set in place. You're not going to be able to pose him how you want or anything like that. Okay. And 2 legs. I'm going to leave the visor on because that's not going to get painted. When I say on the sprue, I'm not going to clip it, is what I'm saying. All right. Give me a... And I've got to get new nippers. These things are just absolute garbage. They were not only cheap, but they're old. They're old and cheap. The best kind. Kind of how I like my women, I think they say. I didn't say that. But anyways, moving forward, let's see. So what I think I'll do first is clean this stuff up as best I can. This clear plastic is very dense. It's very hard. If you've ever built car models, you know the clear pieces are always a little bit on the hard side. So it makes it a little not quite as easy to work with, but it should sand well. It's hard to tell. Here's another problem with it being clear. It is right now. It is hard for me to tell, like where any mold lines or anything like that I need to remove. It's hard to see in here because it's clear. Makes it a little difficult. Let me clip these. They got little extra pieces on here. There we go. So it's hard to really see. I mean, I know where that one is because I just literally just took it off. Something going on with his hand here. This definitely needs removed. Let's go this way. Yeah, this stuff is I don't know. I don't know how much I like the fact that it was molded this way. I mean, you could go through and just prime it all, which I have not been doing. As you notice, I haven't primed anything. If I was to, usually when I airbrush, I prime everything first before I airbrush. The spray paints I've been using, in fact, where's one of them at? These claim to be, well, I thought paint plus primer. There it is. This is all in one, paint and primer, so I didn't think there was any point. I was going to try to just use it how it's intended, which is as the primer and the paint, and just see, kind of a test on that. A test to how well it works on these models. Okay, so that's those two. Clip here. See if I can do this without cutting his thumb off. Okay, good. On the back of his hand. Some of it you gotta really, really look close. See if I can do this without cutting my finger off, or my thumb off. And then here, it looks pretty rough. It does sand up very easily and very quickly, which is nice. And I don't mind this is a fire suit, which the material for a fire suit's pretty coarse. It's a pretty heavy material. So I don't mind there being some kind of texture, left in it from painting and from sanding, and because they get pretty worn. Well, they obviously get worn, but worn out. And so they kind of build some character to them as far as imperfections, I guess you could say. It doesn't have to be perfect like the side pods and the bodywork. I want it to be more perfect, because that's something on these carts that gets replaced a lot. You bang with somebody, you just replace. That's the whole point in the side pods, is they take the damage, so they get replaced, so they stay in pretty good condition. Plus, you want your cart to look good, so you keep it clean and shiny, and painted and whatever. So the bodywork I want to keep very glossy and very pretty. Everything else, including his fire suit. In fact, the fire suit probably, this is Senna later in his life, so he probably has 100. He can replace his fire suit anytime. But when it's younger people that are doing this karting, you have your fire suit. They're expensive. It's the one thing unless you literally catch on fire in it, you're not going to replace it, most likely for quite a while, unless you grow out of it. So they get a little grimy, a little dirty, a little musty, And if you've ever done any racing or whatever, you kind of become one with it. So it's kind of like your lucky underwear. Sometimes you don't want to clean it too well, because it does kind of get worn in and molded to your body kind of thing. Where am I at? Here we are. Okay, so I think I'm getting all of this cleaned off. But anyways, the point to that story is I don't mind there being some imperfection as far as sanding marks, or I don't want them to look like sanding marks, but things that just give character to the paint that's going to be on this on the body. I'm not too worried about. All right, so let's start looking at. In fact, let me clean that right there up a little better. That's all right. So let's see. They have us putting the legs together first. So I guess we'll kind of do this in the order they want us to do it. It's going to go like so. So with this, I can just, this, I don't mind just putting the glue in like so. And then I just want to make sure it goes together as it should. Oh, there's a spot on his back end that needs cleaned up a little bit. I'm going to take this to the side and just spray it with some activator. See if that'll get it. Yep. And it didn't. I don't think it got in there. What I can do, that might have got it. Some of the activator in there. Yeah. Doing it that way, what you can do is, or what you should do is put glue on one side, spray the other side with activator, push it together. I'm not crazy about doing that because you get one shot. It's when it's there, it's there. But that's how you should apply that. I could also use, which where did I do with it? I also have my plastic cement I could use. Let me see if I can clean this up real quick. I like the CA because it's pretty. I like the fact that it is pretty instant. I don't like the fact that it can be very instant, and that's what I try to avoid. Here's that spot I was talking about on his back end. Let me go ahead and clean that up while I see it and know it's there. I'd like to have it all cleaned up when I paint it, so I don't have to go back and sand painted parts and then repaint. All right, that worked. And then I guess they want us to put the upper body together. And are these kind of, I'm trying to see. Man, it is hard to tell. Can they only, I'm wondering if I need to set him in the car to put his arms on, because I want to make sure his hands are on the steering wheel. I think that's probably the way to do it. I think I might put his upper body on. In fact, let me bring the chassis over. Kind of set him in here. See how we're going to... I'm guessing he's going to be something like that. Which looks okay. But let me put... Well, his upper body... Yeah, his upper body's going to be kind of slumped in there. So I think I'll put his upper body on. What's going to be the best way to do this? So... because we got a steering wheel that has to go in his hands. Will we be able to get that steering wheel? They're showing put the steering wheel in last, but I sure hate that if his hands aren't lined up. But I think I'm going to do his body without his arms, and then we'll try to line that all up. In fact, maybe I can place the steering wheel and then glue his arms. But then I won't be able to get him out, will I? Sorry, I'm thinking how the best way to do this is. Well, I do know for sure putting his body on is going to be the way to go. So let me go ahead. Let's go ahead and do that. Just put a touch. Touch of CA, which runs this thin stuff will run right around. It runs right around it, so that works out good. And then we'll put his body on, and it pretty well only fits one way, like so. I'm going to let that sit just a second while I think about the best way to do this part. So to reiterate, the problem I'm having is we're going to have a steering wheel. In fact, let me go ahead and clip the steering wheel off so I can kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about. Let me clip it out of here. Like so. We have a steering wheel that's going to be here, like that. And then his hands fit on the steering wheel, like that. If you guys can see that, his hands actually grasp the wheel. So I think the problem is what I would do is just go ahead and put the steering wheel in. I think what I'm gonna have to do is leave his arms off. I think I'll probably they show putting his body together, setting him in the car like so with his arms already on. Which, how well is he going to sit in here like this? He's kind of leaning. He leans a little crooked, but I think that's okay. His arm's going to be here. Boy, his arm is right. How do you not burn yourself on this motor? Yeah, he's going to sit like that. Like, I don't know where to put, if I was to put him together first, I don't know where to put his arm, how to locate his arm. So I think I'm definitely going to do the arm separately from the body. This head, I guess, does it just pop on or does it? Let me see. No, I don't. How do they show it? I mean, it's got a. I guess it just goes like. I might put his head. Well, that. It looks like it needs to pop in this hole. Let me see if I can clear that out a little bit. It looks like it needs to pop in there. Otherwise, he has a very long neck. Or what to me appears like a very long neck. I think some of this hole might be. I think some of the hole in his head might be. The hole they put in his head might not be quite. Some of it might have some molding in it. Some plastic molding. Let me clean this up a little bit. Let's see. I mean, it looks like to me, but there's no way I can get that to pop in there. I can't see how that's going to happen. No, there's no way. But it looks like that's maybe what's supposed to happen. Because if I just set it there, I don't know. I guess that looks okay. Let me do this. I'm going to set him. I'll let you guys look at what I'm looking at. So that's as far as basically the head will go on. Whoops. Let me get down here where you can see. As far as the head will go on, you can kind of, I guess you can turn it, put it wherever it wants because there's just a ball joint here. There is a cavity in here. It looks like maybe it's supposed to pop in there, but maybe not now that I really look at it. But to me, it makes it look like he has kind of a long neck if I don't get that. I'm almost wondering. Let me look at the box art. Yeah, it definitely needs to pop in there. There's no way, because this is hard plastic. There's no way that's going to happen. I think it's in the process of doing it. I'm afraid I'm going to crack his helmet. I mean, I think that's about as good as it's going to get. I don't know what else to. But the problem is you can see from the backside, because his head's going to have to aim, because you kind of lay down like this, so his head's going to have to be angled forward. You can see back up underneath this helmet where it's not popped in there, where it's not. That ain't going to happen. I think our only choice, again, is to try our best to open this up a little bit without destroying a finger. There is no way. So I can feel in there with my X-Acto. And there's no way the big ball right here on the end of his neck is going to fit in there. I just can't see it happening. What I might have to do, I mean, it's. Let's see how that looks. Let's set him on board here. might be okay. It just, to me, it makes his neck look a little long. I wish I could get it in there just a little further. But I can see, obviously, because this is clear plastic, I can see that little ball is set it's all the way in. So I think this is how it's going to have to go. And it's going to go, I think that's a pretty good position too. He sits like that. So, and I don't want his head too far forward because that really shows that. Gosh dang. I wonder, I'm really contemplating just cutting the ball off, but then I think it's going to sit too far in there. I wonder what if I just, will this sand down? Where's my, let's use the coarse one. Let's see if I can sand the ball joint part down a good bit. Let me set this aside so we don't mess it up. I wish I had also out in the garage where all the rest of my tools are, including my airbrush setup and my paint booth, everything. I also have a Dremel, which would make quick work of this. But for now, we're just doing it by hand. Hopefully getting it, I wonder if I can just kind of get the four sides of it sanded down a little bit just to fit in there. I'm going to go on the sides, and then I think I'm going to sand off the top of it, try to get it to sit further down. Like this here. Let's do that. Now let's see how that'll fit. Does it go any? Yeah, that's getting, okay, that's I think that's working. I might have to keep, well, no, that's actually, I don't know, that might be okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sand it down just a little bit more just so I have some room to work. I think taking the top off is what's really working. It's the top that's hitting. Taking the top of this ball, you can see I just totally just flattened it out. Hopefully you can see that. Just completely flattened out the ball there to see if it'll get it to sit further down, which it seems, yeah, it absolutely is. Yes, that's already better. I think that's going to be perfect just like that. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and glue it in place because I like it. Okay. Okay, I think right there is going to be perfect because he's going to sit like that. Yep, I think that's going to be fine. I just want to look at it from all angles. I think that's going to be good. All right. Let's move our steering wheel out of the way. I'll clean this up and touch up the paint on my own time. But I think that's going to work for his body. This glue's not dry. I'm going to just make sure that's all the way in there as far as I can get it. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to let him sit there, dry up. Whoop. I'll lean him against that. There we go. All right, so I think that's a game plan. We'll do his body. We'll do the arms separately. In fact, let's just go ahead and I'm going to show you what the plan is. I've got the only white I could find, I've got some insignia white from Model Masters. And then I had to bring, so I'm pretty sure this is enamel, right? Or yeah, it's enamel. So I've got some thinner to clean up my brush with over there, but I just want to see what this is going to look like. Let's paint up one of the arms, or at least start painting one of the arms, so at least we can get a look at what the suit's going to look like. It's white here. Let's see. I think this color will work fine. It's going to look good. And again, I'm just brushing it. I don't mind little bit of rough paint. I don't want to see necessarily brush marks, but I don't mind the paint being a little kind of rougher or coarser, because it is a fire suit. It is going to take 2 coats too, I think. But I think that white is going to work just fine. I didn't know. I wanted it to be white, but not too white, if that makes sense. The bodywork on the cart is white, as white as it gets, which is what I wanted. It's what it looks like in the pictures over here. That's what it looks like, is that it's very, very white. Even if you have a perfectly white fire suit, not going to be that way for long. A few laps in, it'll already not be white anymore. You're going to, especially in a karting situation where you have other karts around you that are throwing dirt and rubber, tire rubber and everything, smoke, everything coming at you. It won't take long for a white fire suit to not be white anymore. But I think that's gonna. Can you guys? Obviously I'm setting it on white. Let me move this out of the way. Set it on the black over here. I think that's going to be a pretty good color for his suit. I think that's going to look good. I think I'm going to have to let... Is he glued up? Did he... Yeah, he glued up. His helmet's actually yellow, right? Yeah. So we won't paint his helmet, but we will paint the rest of his suit, I think. Let me double check that. What color are they calling for? H11. Yeah, which is the white. Okay. So we'll go ahead and paint his suit. His helmet's, iconically the colors of Brazil. Always was, always had been. No matter who he drove for, what he was driving, always had the yellow and green, or the yellow helmet with the green stripe. Was it? Yeah. Is it blue or green? Whatever color the stripe is. I remember it being kind of green and blue, or green. Colors of the Brazil flag, I guess. Yeah, I think this is going to work for his fire suit. I will finish painting this up in between episodes. I'm not going to bore you guys. I'm only going to bore you guys with me trying to put a figure together. But I'm not going to bore you with me painting him. I'm going to continue painting while we kind of do our outro. As always, please let me know what you think down below. The comments, by the way, if you really want to support the channel, if you really want to support these videos, comments is the way to do it. I mean, literally just say hi. But as far as YouTube is concerned, the most important thing is engagement, which is comments, good or bad. It doesn't even matter. Just engagement's all that matters. So please leave me a comment down below, good or bad. It doesn't, trust me, it doesn't bother me any whether it's a good or I'd rather see good constructive criticism rather than just mean comments. But honestly, the mean comments don't bug me either. I don't go for it. But let me know what you think down below. If you would share these videos, just us chit chatting and building models. I'm going to try to kind of mix it up. I've got next, we're going to step away from plastic models because we've done a couple of them. And I've got what's I think going to be a quick build. I've already picked it up. It looks like it's going to be interesting. It's something I've never done. And it looks like it's going to be it's going to be a chore. I can already tell. As much as I've been complaining about small little pieces, I don't know why I picked up what I did to do next. But I think it'll be fun. I think you guys will get a good laugh at it, probably at me. You'll be laughing at me. Trust me, you won't be with me, which is fine. But anyways, I'm going to finish painting this guy up. I'm going to let the body work dry and get very, very dry. I just don't want to mess any of that up. And then so tomorrow when we get together, I should have the tires done, the wheels done, the body work done. Should have the start of him painted, and we can go from there. Maybe we finish up tomorrow. If not tomorrow, we're definitely finishing this the next day. But thanks for joining me, guys. Hit that subscribe button if you would. Hit the like button if you would, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.